Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaura Haribo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Paribhajaka Acharya Ashto Tara Srimad Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading today from Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 6, text 162. Is that right? Okay. Mayadisha Mayavasha Ishvare Jiva Veda Ena Jive Ishvara Saha Kahate Abeda Mayadisha Mayavasha Ishvare Jiva Veda Hena Jive Ishvar Saha Kahata Abeda Mayadisha Mayavasha Ishvara Jive Veda Hena Jive Ishvar Saha Kahata Veda Mayadisha Mayavasha Ishvare Jiva Veda Ena Jive Ishvara Saha Kahate Abeda Mayadisha Mayavasha Ishvare Jiva Veda Ena Jive Ishvara Saha Kahate Abeda Mayadisha Mayavash Ishvare Jiva Veda Ena Jiva Ishvara Saha Kahate Abeda Mayadisha Mayavasha Ishvare Jiva Veda Ena Jiva Ishvara Saha Kahate Abeda Mayadisha Maya Ishvara Jiva Veda Ena Jiva Ishvara Saha Vaishnavis Mayadisha Mayavash Ishvara Jiva Veda Mayadisha Mayavasha Ishvara Jiva Veda Ena Jiva Ishvara Sa Kahate Abeda Maya Adisha, the Lord of energy. Maya Basha, subjected to the influence of Maya. Ishvare, in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. jive, in the living entities. Veda, the difference. Hena jive, such living entities. Ishvara saha, with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kaha, you say. Ta, indeed. Abheda, one and the same. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord is the master of all potencies, and the living entity is the servant of them. That is the difference between the Lord and the living entity. However, you declare that the Lord and the living entity are one and the same. Everyone can please repeat. The Lord is the master of the potencies, and the living entity is the servant of them. That is the difference between the Lord and the living entity. However, you declare that the Lord and the living entities are one and the same. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is by nature the master of all potencies. By nature, the living entities, being infinitesimal, are always under the influence of the Lord's potencies. According to the Mundaka Upanishad 3:1, 1 and 2, Dva Suparna Sayujas Sakaya Samanam Viksham Parishas Swajate Jate Tayor Anya Pipalam Swadhyate Yatityanan Yanasyan Anyo Vichakashiti Samane Vriksha Purusho Nimagno Nishaya Shochati Muhyam Manaha Jushtam Yada Pashakyanyamisham Asya Mahimanam Etavita Shokaha. The Mundaka Upanishad completely distinguishes the Lord from the living entities. The living entity is subjected to the reactions of fruitive activity, whereas the Lord simply witnesses such activity and bestows the results. According to the living entity's desires, he is wandering from one body to another, from one planet to another, under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paramatma. However, when the living entity comes to his senses by the mercy of the Lord, he is awarded devotional service. Thus, he is saved from the clutches of Maya. At such a time, he can see his eternal friend, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and become free from all lamentation and hankering. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 1854, where the Lord says, Brahma bhuta pasanatma nashochati nakangshati. One who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. Thus, it is definitely proved that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master of all potencies, and that the living entities are always subjected to these potencies. That is the difference between Mayadisha and Mayavasha. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Minatasmai Sudi Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Swaparantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pachadine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyatyarishatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here, in previous verses, the Lord speaks, especially, I think it's verse number 151. Before that. Verse 154. Srila Prabhupada is quoting first 4 verses from Vishnu Purana. And the eternal potency of the Supreme Lord Vishnu is spiritual, as verified in the Shastras. There's another spiritual potency known as Kshatragya, or the living entity. The third potency, which is known as nescience, makes the living entity godless and fills him with fruitive activity. So there, and the subsequent verses, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is declaring that there is a great separation. So then he speaks about the different potencies of the Lord. Ladini, Sambit, Sandini. And then he comes to this previous verse. And his spiritual potency, the Supreme Lord, enjoys 6 kinds of opulences. You do not accept this spiritual potency. And this is due to your great impotence. So Mamayavam so jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Even in Bhagavad Gita, which was quoted also, it says that the living entity is a part of Krishna. But the Mayavadis take that particular verse to say that the Supreme Absolute Truth has become fragmented. They take about 6 verses from Bhagavad Gita and about 15 verses from the Bhagavatam, and that's their whole basis, shastric basis of everything. So, and here in the purport, what we just read, there again, Mundaku Upanishad, Dva Suparna, Sayuja Sakaya, that there is a difference. There are 2 particular entities, and it says that Samani Brikshe Purusho Nimagno, that the Supreme Personality is always glorified, and the living entity is always lamenting. So, lamenting because Krishna never laments. Krishna does lament. If we get into the area of rasa, he laments whenever Srimati Radharani is not present. And in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he laments very, very greatly when Lord Jagannath goes into his anavasara. And he laments so much that he goes and sees the Lord in his forearm form, Krishna in his forearm form, which is actually a very... Why does he go there? Why would he want to see 4 arms? If he just saw Jagannath in Krishna's most ecstatic manifestation. Just like there was one disciple of Srila Prabhupada, one lady who I knew very well, who became a Mayavadi. I don't know how she did that, but anyway. That shows how dangerous Maya can be. But before that, she asked, does Lord Jagannath have his own planet? Prabhupada had just manifested Ratiyatra. And he said, no, he is Krishna himself, in his most ecstatic form. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after seeing Jagannath, why does he go see a two-armed form, a four-armed form of Krishna? But the reason is because that four-armed form in Alalanath is Krishna when he took the form of Vishnu. And the reason that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to see that particular deity after seeing Jagannath is because when Krishna was hiding from the gopis, but then he heard the gopis coming very nearby, so he hid behind a bush. But one of the gopis saw him, and she said, there's Krishna. So he didn't want them to find him, so he manifested a four-armed form of Vishnu. And then the gopis came and they asked, it's Chaitanya Charitamrita, that, have you seen Krishna? Srila Prabhupada always refers to that the gopis are so addicted to Krishna that even Lord Vishnu, they didn't even bother to offer obeisances. They didn't think, oh, Vishnu, Krishna, there's no difference. They, just like when I was in South India, I went to one temple, and the pujari, first thing he said when he saw me, he said, Vishnu is supreme. He saw me, ISKCON, he knew that we had a different conception. So and they started chanting all kinds of verses that I didn't understand. So I thought, what am I going to do? So I saw the reliefs all over the wall. And so I quickly counted them. There was like twice as many of Krishna. So I said, if Vishnu is supreme, why do you have twice as many leelas of Krishna on the wall? And he thought about it, and he said, Vishnu is supreme, Krishna is supreme. I said, okay, now we'll accept that. No, we'll agree on that. So they did not. They were not fazed by Vishnu, no. And then they went away, and a little later, when Krishna was still standing in this four-armed form, just a few minutes later maybe, Srimati Radharani came. And Krishna wanted to maintain this four-armed form. But when he looked into her eyes, he felt such ecstasy that the other two arms disappeared. And then there was Srimati Radharani. So this is why Lord Chaitanya, when he offered obeisances to that deity, he was feeling so much ecstasy that it melted the stone. Because he is in the mood of Srimati Radharani, and he's seeing this deity, and he, in his mind, is seeing the deity, the two arms disappear, and this caused him so much ecstasy. So he stayed there until. So the point is that the Lord is, and he was lamenting, where is Jagannath? But that lamentation increases his ecstasy. The gopis lament, where is Krishna? The cowherd boys lament. In the nighttime, they lament. In the daytime, the gopis lament. Mother Yashoda laments that Krishna is going out in the forest, so many thorns, so many obstacles, so many wild animals. She's always lamenting. This is a mother's duty. A mother is always in anxiety. Even when the son is 50 years old, she's still in anxiety. Is he eating properly? He'll come home after he's been living alone for the last 25, 30 years. Are you eating? Are you eating properly? No, she's always lamenting. But that lamentation is coming from love. And all of this lamentation is coming from love. But the living entity's lamentation is not coming from love. But in one sense, it is coming from love. Because the living entity wants to be with Krishna. Lord Chaitanya says, Pratipadam pradamidas bhadanam. That at every step, So you can see this in two ways. One is that Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. After Vidyavadu Jivanam, after the living entity cannot give up the holy name, then the holy name expands unlimitedly. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. And then at every moment, Pratiparam, every moment, every step, he can only chant the holy name. But it can also mean that every living entity at every step is looking for Krishna. But they find a poor substitute. Mother, father, son, daughter. Those are the more pious ones. The other ones, no, alcohol, drug, no, this is my Krishna, no, or my Krishna, something else. Some, even in America and Europe, they call devil worshippers from Christianity. They have the conception of, they worship the devil. They have altar, and I know in the U.S., this is an official church. No, it's a recognized church. No, if you belong to that church, you get tax deduction. No, for your donations to the devil church. So this is how foolish they are. So at every step, every living entity is only looking for Krishna. But they don't know who Krishna is, so they find the closest thing that can give them some intimacy, some feeling of security, whatever that is. For some people, it is suicide. That is their deity. They take their life because no one can live without Krishna. So this is the point that Lord Chaitanya is making here in this verse. That the living entity, because the living entity is Mayavasha. Krishna is Vrityavasha. As it says in the Bhagavatam, Tadvasho Darayantavat, that Krishna comes under the control of a piece of wood. Meaning, when the gopis tell him to bring this piece of wood, a wooden chair or something else made of wood, Krishna is under the control of that, whatever that object is. Because the gopis are asking, these are the elderly gopis, what to speak of how much under the control he is of the young gopis. Totally under control. But the living entity should be under the control of Krishna. And then, they're under the control of Krishna. At one previous verse, very beautiful verse, I have to find it here. Very, very interesting. Here. Yeah. Verse 160. That antaranga chit shakti tatasta jiva shakti bahiranga maya tinkare prema bhakti. So it says all these three energies, tinkare prema bhakti, they are all three are under the control of devotional service in love. So how is Maya under the control of devotional service in love? How is the living entity bewildered by Maya, the marginal potency? Because devotional service in love is the supreme potency, Hladini Shakti. And that supreme potency gives potency to all other potencies. So this is interesting, that for Krishna, and therefore Prabodhananda Saraswati, he says that the only thing I see is Vishvam Purna Sukayate, The only thing I see in the universe is perfection. Everything is perfect. Because it's all because Krishna's loving potency is causing every other potency to exist in one way or another. That loving potency is causing the living entity under the illusion of the external potency. No? Just like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that Daivi Shagunamayi, this Maya potency is Daivi. She's under the control of Krishna's supreme potency. So it's very, very interesting that actually, in one sense, there's nothing but loving devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But under the illusion, we love something else. But it is also one of Krishna's potencies. And Krishna, just like here in the Mundak Upanishad, it shows how the living entity is different from Krishna and how Krishna is supreme. And the Svatashvatara Upanishad, it says, Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, tat shamascha vyadikas tradishyate. That Krishna has nothing to do. Krishna has nothing to do. He has no obligation. But his obligation comes under tattva. He has no obligation. He's supreme. But under rasa, he has so many obligations. No. Although ultimately he doesn't. But he accepts to be subordinate to the desires of his devotees. And therefore in the 5th canto, it says that, I think, 5, 6, 18, that Krishna, or Vishnu, speaking of Vishnu actually, but Krishna is, he can give liberation to anyone, but he doesn't give devotional service to anyone. Only to special devotees, because he comes under their control. Even Vishnu comes under the control of his devotees. When Lord Vishnu was apologizing to the Kumaras, he said, devotees like yourselves are so dear to me that if there's some problem, I would cut off my arm and give my arm for your benefit. But he's not under such strong control as Krishna in Vrindavan. Krishna in Vrindavan is only thinking about the pleasure of his devotees. That's why when Krishna manifests Vrindavan in the material world, that Gokula Vrindavan, when he manifests it, he allows the demons to come so that his devotees even become more dependent on him. And the more dependent on him they become, then he can come more under their control. They come totally, they know nothing except for Krishna, so he can come totally under their control. And Lord Chaitanya was explaining this. Otherwise, Lord Chaitanya, some verses back, I think starting with 148, he became he became ecstatic. Otherwise, he was explaining all this very deep philosophy. And then, all of a sudden, in verse number 149, he quoted from Bhagavatam, from Lord Brahma, Aho bhagyam, nanda gopa vrachao kasham, yan mitram paramanandam, purnam brahma sanatanam. A very ecstatic verse, but it had its purpose to show that, oh, how fortunate are Nanda Maharaj, the cowherd, and all the residents of Vrindavan. No? Because Yan Mitram Paramanandam, they are intimate friends of Krishna. No? And Purnam Brahma. And who is Krishna? Purnam Brahma. He is because Sarvabhauma was talking about Brahman. So here he says, yes, but Krishna is Purna Brahman, Sanatana. He's not sometimes Krishna. He's Sanatana. He's always Krishna. And he went into ecstasy, and then he went back to Vedic philosophy. Famous verse. Famous verse from the Svatashvatara Upanishad, that Apanipado Javano Grahita. He has, because this is what the Mayavadis quote. See, he has no hands, he has no feet, but, Pado Javano, but he moves very fast, without material feet. He has his spiritual feet. And Apani Grahita. Apparently he has no hands, but if he doesn't have spiritual hands, how does he accept the offering? Pashat Yachakshu. He has no eyes, but he sees. So he has no material eyes, but he has spiritual eyes. Those spiritual eyes are the object of meditation of the devotees. His lotus eyes. When those lotus eyes cast their glance upon the living entity, and his lotus eyes have a very special characteristic, that they're always looking at every devotee. Just like yesterday, I had to give some three-dimensional gifts, and you move it like this, and you see Krishna and Radha, their eyes are moving, but they don't follow you. But Krishna's eyes follow every devotee. And so, Srinot Yakarna, he has no material ears, but he hears everything. And especially he hears the prayers of his devotees. This is his special characteristic. Saveti Vedyam, he knows everything. Nacha tasyasti vetaha, but no one knows him. And Krishna declares this in Bhagavad Gita. Tam ahur agryam purusham mahantam. Therefore, again, Swatish Upanishad in so many verses confirms he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purusham Mahantam. He is the greatest person. Not temporarily. This is what the Mayavadis say. Yeah, Krishna is great. Yes, we admit Shankaracharya, he glorified Krishna. He's great for a while. While he's around, and when Brahman wants to manifest into Krishna, it does it sometimes, and then he disappears again. And he can appear again. But Brahman is supreme. But there's so much proof everywhere. But anyway, after he says this verse, when I saw that verse, that aho bhagyam, I was remembering when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met with Raghupati Upadhyaya, that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met met Vallabhacharya, Sri Vallabha at that time, Sri Vallabha offered obeisances to him, and then behind Lord Chaitanya was Rupa and Vallabha. So he offered obeisances to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he didn't offer obeisances to Rupa Goswami. Even though Rupa Goswami was so great. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu perceived, here is a Paka Brahman. He offered obeisances to me because I'm a sannyasi, but he's not going to offer obeisances to anyone else. And so then he said, here is Rupa and Vallabha. They are accompanying me. So Sri Vallabha approached them with folded hands like, Namaste. Sometimes people who don't understand the exalted position of Vaishnava, Namaste. And then as he approached Rupa Goswami, Rupa and Vallabha ran away. And he was bewildered. Why did they run away? Why didn't they offer? Really, what he was thinking, why didn't they offer obeisances to me? These are just some, who knows who they are. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, don't approach, this is Rupa. don't approach him. He's very contaminated. He's from a low caste. So actually, he was being facetious. He was actually making fun of Vallabha, saying, you don't realize how great Rupa Goswami is. You should be offering obeisances to him, but you want him to offer obeisances to you. So, and for us Vaishnavas, we have to be very careful that we don't think this way. Why is so-and-so not offering obeisances to me? I'm such and such. Although sometimes, if we're in a certain position, we may have to correct people because they don't understand etiquette. But you should only correct someone who's capable of being corrected. Otherwise, as Chanakya Pandit says, if you try to instruct someone who doesn't accept you as superior, then they will simply become angry. And then you're responsible for not allowing them to advance by greater understanding. You have to let them experience things according to their own level of understanding. So anyway, so then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw, then they crossed Yamuna. And of course Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he saw the blue waters, the darkish waters of the Yamuna, he began to dance in the boat. They were on a little boat. And he began to dance. The boat was going like this. And Vallabha obviously wasn't a good swimmer, And he said, calm down with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then finally he stopped. And then they reached the shore, going to the house of Sri Vallabha. And Raghupati Upadhyaya came. And he was just in bliss. He was just walking, chanting. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his opulence of outstanding devotion. His body was shivering. He showed ecstatic symptoms. And Raghupati could realize that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, please say something about Krishna, because he wanted Vallabha to hear. He could see this ecstatic devotee will help Vallabha understand who is Rupa Goswami. And then he said that, Prabhupada used to quote this very much, Shutim apare shmitim itare bharatam anye bhajantu bhavabita. That some people, they listen to the Shrutis, other people listen to the Shmitis, and others they listen to Mahabharata, Ramayana, bhajantu. They do this, bhajantu bhavabit, because they fear material existence. As far as I'm concerned, aham iha nandam bande yasyalinde param brahma. I worship Nanda Maharaj because he has the param brahma crawling around in his courtyard. So he had, how great is this Nanda Maharaj? And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, please say more. And then he said, Kampati katai tum ishe. I would like to say more, but who can I say it to? Sampati ko va patitum ayatu. Who will believe me when I say this? But I'm going to say it anyway. Go pati taneyo kunje. That on the bank of the Yamuna River, Gopa vidhatu vitam brahman. He said that on the banks, in the bushes on the banks of the Yamuna, that this Param Brahma is hunting the gopis. Who is going to believe this? Otherwise, he was declaring how intimate is this understanding. We sing Jaya Radha Madhava every day. We're saying this. Krishna is playing on the banks of the Yamuna. He's protecting Vrindavan. He's lifting Govardhan Hill. He's having wonderful pastimes with the gopis. Actually, some of Prabhupada's godbrothers, one in particular, Sridhar Maharaj, was very surprised when he heard the devotees chanting Jaya Radha Madhava. Because he said, actually, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would not allow the devotees to chant this. Very intimate. But Srila Prabhupada, no. Some people say, oh, Prabhupada, no, he's not so rasika. But he gave us this very rasika song to sing before the Bhagavatam every day. No. Of course, we should sing it with great respect, keeping Radha and Krishna above us. No. And so, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell into momentary ecstasy. After all this dry philosophy with, just like those who chant Gayatri Mantra, they chant this every day, about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His first exhibition in his Adi Lila, he was instructing the students, and then he was instructing, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Prakashananda Saraswati, he was instructing. Then, in his Madhya Lila, what is he doing? He's Vishwambar. He is raining. He is causing a rainfall of happiness and bliss coming from chanting of the holy name. And then in his Antya Lila, he is actually experiencing internally the bliss of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Three phases of his. So every day the devotees who chant Gayatri, they meditate on this. How Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how the spiritual master is giving instruction, how he is blissfully engaged in devotional service, and how he is the source of all inspiration to the devotees, and how they should try to inspire him by offering their surrendered service. So always these three phases are there. Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. And this is all through Chaitanya Charitamrita. So anyway, so Krishna has nothing to do but Parasya Shaktir Vividai Vishuyate. This is what's being spoken here. That all these potencies, not just the three potencies that are being mentioned previously, but he has unlimited potencies. And they're all emanating from him. But the wonderful thing is, Swabhaviki Gyanabala Kriyacha. He doesn't have to do anything for these potencies to act. They're acting automatically. No, we can't do that. Just like someone may have a big corporation or something, and they have so many employees, but they're always having to worry about this one over here, that one, the factory. Krishna doesn't have to worry. He simply expands himself into Vishnu. And then Vishnu also doesn't want to worry about the material world, so he expands himself into Shiva. And Shiva is also very blissful, so he expands himself, into Rudras, so that they all take care of all this anger. And we love these Rudras. We are getting angry all the time. So somebody didn't obey me, somebody didn't do this, but we have to become free from their influence, and free from the influence of Rajas, the creative energy. Just like sometimes we build something, or we do something, but then it's very difficult to maintain it. Just like you go to New York City, an old city, the roads are worse than after the rainy season in India, because it's such an old city that they can't keep the maintenance going. And so one time I was in Paris, I had all these big beautiful fountains, but none of them are working, because it takes so much effort to maintain. No. So as devotees, we have to be careful that we don't do something unless we have the ability to maintain it. No. And especially our spiritual life. We should practice spiritual life in such a way that we can maintain our equilibrium, our spiritual equilibrium in our devotional life. Not that we try to do so many things. Many devotees have fallen into this. Then they can't maintain themselves. They're not hearing and chanting sufficiently. And they can't maintain their spiritual standard. So they get too much in the mode of passion, doing too many things, which is wonderful. Prabhupada liked that. But he said, every day you must hear Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, every day without fail. You must do this. Otherwise, this mode of passion will bewilder you. And then we become, as it says here in this verse, Mayavasha, servants of Maya. But we want to be Yoga Maya Vasha. That's okay. Be a servant of Yoga Maya, but not of Mahamaya. So, these are some thoughts on this particular wonderful verse, wonderful part of the Bhagavatam, of Chaitanya Charitamrita. If we study this Madhya Lila 6 and Antya Lila 7, then if you study them very carefully, you can defeat any Mayavad philosophy. Of course, one thing is to defeat Mayavad philosophy, but another thing is that the Mayavadis won't very rarely they will accept. But we defeat it so that innocent people who are bewildered by the Mayavadis will understand Krishna consciousness. Therefore, it's very important to understand this, because sometimes these Mayavadis, they bewilder everyone. Even many of the sadhus, even sadhus in Vrindavan, you can see, I've seen it. They're speaking about Radha and Krishna, and then some little Mayavad thing creeps in. And then but innocent people or ignorant people, Prabhupada said actually no one is innocent in the material world. They're just ignorant. Children, sometimes we say children are innocent. Prabhupada said they are not innocent, they're ignorant. That the ahankar has not fully manifested. When the ahankar fully manifests, then they're no longer innocent, they're ignorant. And so it's all ignorance. And then, and ignorance means to ignore. So we should be ignorant. We should ignore Maya. That kind of ignorance we can have. I will ignore Maya. Mata shmitir jnanam apohanam cha. Krishna says that if you want, you decide. Mata shmitir. You decide what you want to remember. You want to remember me? I will make you forget this material energy. You want to remember Maya? I will make you forget me. Well, you decide. It's your desire. So this is the free will of the living entity. That's about the extent of the free will. Everything else you'll be covered by either Yoga Maya or Mahamaya. If you decide to remember Krishna, then Yoga Maya will help you. Even Mahamaya will help you also. Actually, she's helping everyone to see how miserable the material energy is. She's assisting everyone. But most people, instead of accepting her assistance and saying, yes, this material world is miserable, let me get out. They think, oh, Maya is very nice. Let me serve her very nicely, and she'll give me some reward. So, anyway, some thoughts on this verse. Thank you all very much for your kind attention. Is there a comment or question? Jitamrita Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Microphone. Who has the microphone?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. Here the word is Mayadhish and Mayavasya. Actually, there are three words: Mayadhish and Mayatit and Mayadhin. Mayadhish is Krishna, the controller of Maya. And Mayatit are pure devotees, transcendental to Maya, but not controller. And Mayadhish are the Baddha Jivas, the conditioned living entities. They are controlled by Maya. So three words: Mayadhish, Krishna, and Mayatit, like Brahma and Lord Shiva. Mayatit, transcendental, but not controller. And Mayadhish are the living entities who are conditioned by Maya.
Anyone else? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the class, Maharaj. Maharaj, regarding this living entity, we hear that the soul has love of Godhead, Nitya Siddha, Krishna Prem, and also we hear like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give love of Godhead. It's like Krishna Prem Padayate. How do we understand? Like we have that love, and he came to give the love. How do we reconcile this?
Vishnu is supreme for his devotees. And the example given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lakshmi. No? Lakshmi, she heard about the rasa dance and she wanted to enter. But then when she saw the gopis, how they're dealing with Krishna so intimately, she could not enter. No? Her rasa is to either sitting on the chest or the lap of Vishnu or massaging his lotus feet. No. Always worshipping him with Aishvarya, with he is the greatest, I am his servant. No. But the devotees of Krishna, they see Krishna as supreme. But we understand that Krishna is supreme because his activities in Goloka Vrindavan are beyond compare. No. And he never leaves Vrindavan. No. Even when he kills demons in Vrindavan, he manifests the Vasudeva Krishna. No. Vrindavan Krishna cannot kill anyone. Vrindavan Krishna is just loving the devotees in Vrindavan. No. So, even to kill demons, he has to manifest his Dwarka form. No. And then he can kill demons. So, the supremacy, but for the Vishnu Bhaktas, Vishnu is supreme. But even as it's stated by Uddhava, even Krishna's expansions like Mahavishnu, that Vismatpanam Swasya Cha, that they are amazed by Krishna's Vrindavan pastime. So much so that Mahavishnu made such a big arrangement for the 9 sons of the Dwarka Brahman to die at birth. And so that Arjuna tried to protect the last one, and then Krishna took him to Mahavishnu. But Krishna was just responding to Mahavishnu's desire, that he wanted to have darshan of Krishna. And even Krishna himself is amazed by his own transcendental form. When he sees himself in a jeweled column, then he thinks, people who are worshiping me in awe and reverence, they don't understand. They don't see this. Therefore, I want to go and let them see Vrindavan. I want to let the whole world see Vrindavan. And this happens just before the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who can actually bring this whole Vrindavan Leela into the grasp of the living entity. So, supreme is in the, just like the saying, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. So supremacy is in the eyes of the rasa, particular rasa that the devotee has. But we know that Krishna is supreme. Krishna is too, Bhagavan Swayam. Because his activities are unparalleled.
Thank you.
One devotee here has a question. And then we'll stop.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I hear you mentioning that it's important to have a balance in that spiritual balance, as you mentioned. So, like, if I have to not judge where I am, like, so then how to introspect that and how to go ahead in the service of the Godhead.
We were discussing this yesterday. There is no material life. That the conception of material is only within the consciousness of the conditioned soul. Because material things, or the temporary material world and the spiritual world, both come from Krishna. So first we have to understand, ultimately, everything is coming from spirit. And therefore matter belongs to Krishna. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Ishyavasyamidam Sarvam. Krishna says that this matter, it all belongs to me. And therefore when we're devotees, we understand this belongs to Krishna. Therefore, I only apparent material things, they're actually Krishna's property, and I use them in Krishna's service. Yad karoshi yadashnasi. Therefore, whatever I do, whatever I eat, whatever I give away, whatever actions I perform, whatever sacrifices I make, I do it for Krishna. And then everything becomes spiritualized. So that's Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anantakoti Vaishnava Bindu ki jai, Jai Gaura Premanandi.